One. Welcome to the Joe Kilgallon podcast, aka Kilgallon's Pub. I have a great podcast in store for everyone today. But as always, I'd like to thank you, the listeners, for checking out this podcast. Big shout out to the Patreon subscribers. Those of you already joined up to the Patreon, you'll notice that I posted a really cool video today of me playing RBI baseball and just talking shit with you. I'm calling it like stuff to watch from the toilet. You know, you're on the toilet, pop it on, get a little entertainment. It's 25 minutes long. You don't need to sit on the shitter for 25 minutes watching me play a video game from 1987, but I think it'd be pretty fun for you. Also, a good friend of the podcast, AEW star wrestler Colt Cabana, hit me up because he saw that I did this and said, dude, me and you got to play some RBI baseball. Let's figure out a way to play online, in person, whatever. So be on the lookout for that. Colt Cabana is basically he's thrown down a challenge. I think he's already talking shit, thinking he's going to dominate me in RBI baseball. Little does he know, I'm a master. So a couple little bits of nuggets for you guys right there. And without further ado, let's get into today's podcast, everybody. I've got a very hilarious guest, one of the best comedians in the city of Chicago, a rising TikTok star. We're going to get to that shit. There he is laughing. Let's bring him on, everybody. Welcome to the podcast, the one and only Joe Fernandez. What up there, Joey?
How's it going, Joe? Rising TikTok star Fernandez.
All right, let's get to this shit, dude. Joe Fernandez has been putting in the work on TikTok, and I'm gonna sing your praises. I've been loving what you're doing. I'm a big fan of it. You make me feel lazy because even though I'm very active on TikTok, I'm basically just posting old clips. Not nearly as difficult as you creating.
No, like that's different. You have two kids, so that makes it hard for you to be like trying to edit and like do multiple shoots. Like Lebo has the same thing where it's like you kind of have to keep it a little more simple because you can't be like, I can run around my apartment all day and set shots up and do whatever. You know, I don't have kids to worry about and all this shit. So it makes it a little bit easier to do, you know, whatever. Like more like that dance video I did or whatever.
No, your stuff's hilarious. I definitely recommend everyone follow Joe Fernandez. Joe Fernandez, comedian, is it?
Now comedian because the other one got banned.
That's what I want to talk about with you. Let's first talk about the video that got you banned. I might ask you to send that to me. So when I put the YouTube clip up, I'll post that there. But who knows? Maybe I'll get in trouble on YouTube. I don't even know why I want to risk it.
That's why. But there's no nudity in it, I don't think.
So there's a big challenge going around that I'm sure everyone on the planet has now seen. TikTok's huge. It's got the most eyeballs going right now. It's the fastest growing social media website. I don't know if it has more users than, say, Twitter or Facebook. Definitely not more than Facebook, but it's big. It's very big right now. And there was a challenge called the Bus It Challenge based off of a Meg Thee Stallion song, I believe.
I think so, yeah.
I'm at the point now where any song that's sexual and I don't know the name of it or who sings it, I'm assuming it's Meg Thee Stallion or Cardi B. And sometimes it's them together. And yeah. I'm into it all. Because when I was growing up, it was Foxy Brown, you know? So just you got to roll with the times, everybody. We get older, but you don't remember Foxy Brown?
Oh, Foxy Brown. I think you said Stoxy Brown. And I was like, who the hell is Stoxy Brown?
Well, why the fuck would I say Stoxy Brown?
That's why I was wondering.
And then who else? There was Lil Kim.
Mm-hmm.
I said Lil Kim, not Lil Tim, Joe Fernandez. Yeah. So, there's always going to be these sexual icons. Who was the one for a while that everyone was really into? But then people were like, oh, she actually sucks. Nicki Minaj.
Oh, I don't know. I'm trying to think.
And Nicki Minaj was big.
I was slow on a riff I had when you said Little Kim, and I was going to say like Tiny Tim or something, but I'm so hungover that I couldn't even get anywhere close to having it come out.
Yeah, just to let everyone know, we are recording this in the afternoon on a Tuesday. I normally do my podcast at night. I've got both my sons napping. I'm hoping to get a good hour in for everybody. And anyway, so back to the TikTok, the Bus It Challenge. I thought it was busted at first. I couldn't understand it, but
I didn't know either. If it was busted or busted. I had no idea. So
it shows women, they're dressed down a little bit, right? And then the beginning is like, I think my butt getting big, and then it like drops.
Doesn't that be the rest of the podcast? Is us? We should sing Meg Thee Stallion songs throughout the podcast and have it sound as lame as it possibly could.
When I break down pop music, especially in like the hip hop genre, I do sound very, very fucking old and white and lame. Yeah. I think what they do is they're complaining about their buttocks being too large. And I'm not sure if this is a good thing. But anyway, so yeah, they go, my butt's getting too big. And then they drop down, they do like that, bam, like, and so they're like on their hands are on the knees and they're kind of like bounced a little bit. And, it's from the side. So it's showing, hey, look at this ass, look at the hips. By the way, I think every woman's butt looks good from that angle. Like almost everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, side, almost like reverse cowgirl, but when they're like on the feet, we've all had, look, we're adults here listening to this podcast, most people. We've all made love where the woman is on top, and sometimes they're on the knees doing it, and other times they're feet and they're kind of doing it that way, right? So that's what in this dance is. They're kind of like doing a catcher's squat, but bouncing a little. It's like on the back of a motorcycle. As long as you're in all right or decent shape, but not even, your ass is going to look good on the back of a motorcycle. I've never seen a woman whose butt didn't look good. And I think this is the same thing going on with this.
Motorcycle shit, that you could have just done it right then with that instead of going with it. It's like a sideways reverse cowgirl where she's kind of her ankles. We all know what feet look like, right?
I like my way better. Okay. You're right. I went around the block when I could just cross the street. You're right. Yeah. Okay. So you decided to have fun with that trend, which is a great way to blow up on TikTok because trending videos get seen there. They really do. And if you're using the right hashtags, your shit's going to get shown. You then cut from the whole, my butt's getting big to doing, I'll let you explain it.
It was Buffalo Bill doing the Buss It challenge. So it was just me kind of dancing in my regular clothes and then it cuts and hits the music. And do people know this trend? I wouldn't know it if I weren't on TikTok.
I think it's gotten around enough, or I'm hoping people would recognize the trend. But more importantly, dudes, does everyone know who Buffalo Bill is? This is Silence of the Lambs.
But see, that movie was like one of 3 movies to ever win, like sweep the Oscars. I feel like that's a movie that is like transcendental, right? It doesn't matter that it was from early 90s. Like Hannibal Lecter is the most famous. I think he was like the #1 AFI like movie villain of all time or something.
That's true, but you never know. You never know. Sometimes you have to remind people that basically the Buffalo Bills, you're a man, you're tucking your junk behind your legs to make it look like you have a vagina, which, by the way, is kind of painful. It's not a comfortable thing to do to your twig and berries. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or your log and walnuts.
None of which what?
Or your log and walnuts instead of twig and berries. Say nothing twig about this motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? Come on, dude. All right.
This is an afternoon podcast, if there ever was one.
It really was.
Tim reference out.
Slightly homophobic in the beginning. Then I got, boastful about my penis.
I couldn't have spit out a riff about Tiny Tim, So what are we doing? But basically, I had the. Is a thing where now I don't even know if is it offensive to say mangina because that is what the term is. That offensive? I don't know.
I don't think so. And just for the transcript as well, for when we're both huge network stars, this isn't get dug up. We're being curious. We're asking if it is offensive, then we'll fix our language, or maybe we won't. I don't know.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe we'll be on a sitcom on OAN, and it'll be totally fine.
Oh yeah, definitely. That I don't even know. Does that? I don't know what you just said there, but was that OAN, which is a big like super far right network? Is that even like on regular cable packages?
I don't know where you get it. I don't know where people find it. I feel like it's on a 4chan network or something.
Newsmax is another one.
Yeah. Have you seen the clip of the dude from My Pillow when he starts talking about Dominion machines on either OAN or Newsmax? And the newscasters immediately are like, nope, we can't say that because they're all going to get sued by them, It's so funny watching them have to be like, okay, we have to take some responsibility finally for making up bullshit. It's really great. I recommend that video and my Buffalo Bill video.
Yeah. You posted the Buffalo Bill one on Instagram, though, right? It's on there.
Well, but that is with wherever, I guess, the nudity was covered up with the band. I guess maybe there were pubes showing or something, but barely if they were. I feel. And also, are pubes nudity? Taylor? Right?
Yes and no, then.
Yeah, I felt you wanting to just say no straight up, but you're being diplomatic and being like.
Well, because at first I thought no. My instinct was no, pubes are not nudity. And then I thought to myself, like, I remember if if a woman was wearing like a low cut bikini and pubes were coming out the top, I would probably think that's inappropriate, right? A little bit, even though I would never narc on it. That's why I don't get, who are these people narking? The TikTok must have like a thing in their algorithm where videos get reviewed right away, because I've had videos where the sound has gotten cut. They never straight up said we took the whole video down, but they've said you said a couple of the words you couldn't say and it got cut. I posted a video trying to hype. Do I ask for an explanation? I have not. They just go, here's our community guidelines, check it out. I don't know. There's a few times where if I ever got a back and forth with them, I feel like I'd be like, dudes, or who's ever running this account, you have to understand that guys like me and Fernandez, dudes in our mid-30s, we're scrolling and we're seeing 19 to 20-year-old girls, sometimes I feel like even younger, doing dances. The one big dance I'm seeing people do is where the guy's talking about pulling out and like coming all over the girl's chest. He doesn't say exactly that. He says that then I busted all over her chest or something. And the girls are doing a dance where they're like taking it like they're loving it. And I'm like, what? That's okay. But when and then I posted a clip of Nolan Rafferty, our guy from Galway Bay Pub. It was a throwback from the podcast a couple years ago when we did the live 1-year anniversary show of the podcast, of Nolan telling a joke in which he says, how do you get a dog to stop humping your leg?
Yeah.
He said, pick it up and suck its dick, which is, of course, gross. But it's also, that's the point of the joke. It's a gross out joke, but it's also funny. I posted that, it got nixed.
What I'm finding though, so I posted something the other day to make fun of I go after them whenever this happens. And I'm posting a vengeance video either tomorrow or Thursday. That'll probably get me banned again, but it'll be a video that explicitly talks about TikTok sucking ass. For the very reasons you say, by the way, it's like, so sexualizing very young people, you guys, your algorithm doesn't pick up on that at all, but it picks up on someone saying dick. What I've seen people doing, because someone I posted the other day, is like, why is this okay? It's a woman who's doing a video like when a guy sends you a dick pic and she's like, versus when he sends you a nut video. Do you know what a nut video is?
No.
I don't know.
Is that what I think it is though?
Yeah, probably. You take a guess at it and then I'll tell you if it's right or not.
It sounds like it would be a video that a guy is sending to a woman of him nutting. Is that what it is?
Yeah, the best part is she goes, it was me when he sent a dick pic, and it's her like, and then it's like verse when he sent me a video of him nutting with the sound on, and then it's like, oh my, like I guess women are like really into getting videos of dudes nutting. Apparently, that's the thing I've been seeing on Twitter. And this woman's on TikTok, and it's fucking viral. And on top of which, she put it on TikTok, but it's okay because she spelled dick with an exclamation point for the I, and the nuts is a peanut. So you know,
yes, I've picked up on that. A lot of the people on TikTok who are active, like there's ways to go around it. Like sex, they'll spell like SEGGS, like segs or something like that, but everyone knows. Or they use, instead of pussy, they use the kitty cat emoji and all this other kind of stuff. And it's like, I know they're trying to cast a wide net, TikTok. They go, we want everyone from 12 to 80 using this site or using this app. It gets to the point where I'm like, just create a filter then and make, you know what I mean? They control, you know, like why are we acting like we can't say these obvious words? And that's, by the way, I want to address this. You heard on Twitter, women like getting videos sent to them of dudes nutting?
Not unsolicited.
Okay. I was going to be like, that does not sound right to me at all.
No, not like just, you know, on a random Thursday from your mailman, but like, you know, like if you're seeing someone like, and it's weird because there was a girl I was seeing last year who wanted videos like that or like pictures like that. There's only one girl I've ever sent dick pics to, and it was this girl because she has liked videos of it after the fact. You know what I mean? So what do you mean after? Like after coming, not like just a dick just sitting there. It was like she had a very specific thing she wanted sent to her.
So she wanted a picture of your man. And after he had just, you know, had his fun.
Yes.
Okay. Because there is that moment briefly after where it's looking great. But then if you wait a few moments after that, it's like, I'm exhausted, bro. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. But you know, it's crazy that also is on TikTok though, and that exclamation point would make a difference for a child, apparently, according to their algorithm. You know,
I know, it's so stupid. I've got some jokes where I'm like, I'm gonna post this. We'll see if it sticks, and it has.
yeah.
And my latest joke about, I have a reference to Elmo. It's an innocent enough joke where it talks about how when we were growing up, Big Bird was the star of Sesame Street, and then Elmo became the star of Sesame Street. And in this, I make it seem like Elmo was a tyrant and he pushed Big Bird aside. But then I go, you can't deny Elmo's star power because, that Tickle Me doll came out, everyone lost their minds. And I said that Elmo makes pussies wet and dicks erect. And that's in there. I left that in there, and it hasn't gotten flagged yet. I'm very thankful for that, TikTok gods. But
well,
there's some other
Sesame Street in it, right?
I do. I hashtag. I think I hashed. No, I didn't hashtag Sesame Street. That'd be bad if I did.
But here's the other thing: if you do have 12-year-olds on your site, then it just has to be like, okay, explicit warning.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just weird to be like, hey, we want to create anything and everything, but also here's the demographic specifically that you got to watch out for. And it's like, all right, well then I'll create TikTok for adults.
That would be huge. TikTok for 18 plus. That would be big. I'm sure then because Twitter is interesting.
It's so pervy. Like, it's so weird. And here's the under 18 TikTok. Like, the people who are going to that one are the ones that you have to like fucking
put on a list.
Files that would have to be like, fuck, now I got to make an account and say I was born in fucking 2008.
Oh man, the creep. You ever think of this is so wrong, but it'd be really funny to do a sketch of like a pervert who's bad at math. So when they try to log on to like kids sites, they keep going, how old do I have to make myself to be 13? Shit. 2009? No, that can't be right. Yeah. Anyway, dude,
it took me a second to be like, whoa, yeah, if you're 14, you'd have been born in 2006.
Here's a TikTok video I just saw. A guy, he did like a video of himself going to the liquor store, and the guy's like, ID, and he goes to hand the ID, and he hands it right back to him. And the guy's like, well, that was quick. He goes, well, yeah, your birthday started with a 19, or your birth year started with a 19.
Oh, damn, yeah.
Think about it. If I hand you my ID and all you have to do is see 19 is the start of when I was born, you hand it right back because that's nuts. Someone born in the year 2000 is either just turned 21 or going to turn 21 this year.
Yeah.
We're going to be dead soon, Joe.
It's weird. And it's even things like, have you noticed this? That when you see a sports record, it's like, hasn't been done since 2007. I'm like, that wasn't that long ago. And then you realize like, oh, that was 13 years ago. Like, it's been 13 years since that, which back when I was growing up, like I remember, in 2004, if they said it hadn't happened since 1991, I think that was so long ago. But now 13 years ago, it's like, oh, that wasn't that long ago. 2007, I remember everything that happened that year. And this was like, because when you were younger, like, I don't know. Does that make sense what I'm saying?
No, it totally makes sense. Because, when it's getting weird for me? The fact that I'm now older than most of my favorite professional athletes who are playing today.
That's exactly what I was about to bring up too. That those college kids I'm watching, I'm like, oh, they're younger than me. But you're so used to saying athletes is older than you. I don't think you ever grow out of that, right?
You really don't. And you know what, though? Here's a weird thing. And this could be like a status thing. I've been fortunate enough to hang out with some professional athletes, and I've been older than a few of them. And in my brain, they're older than me, even though I'm older than them. And I think it's because they have millions of dollars and I don't. And they're famous and I'm not, maybe. It's kind of like, I think of them.
Because they're dealing with so much more shit, you just, I think it's because you grew up with athletes always being older than you. Like, that's just the thing. And then
I think you're right about that.
Like, just the level of responsibility they have at the age of 22, being just, like a Fernando Tatis or whoever. You're 22 and like you're doing interviews every day. Like LeBron James at 18. I don't even know how he survived that. That's crazy to think you're called the chosen one on Sports Illustrated. I'd have become an alcoholic, and it'd have been like my 30 for 30 would have been me just on a bench somewhere, and they were like, he had all the talent but couldn't handle the pressure.
Definitely. I mean, people who know me know that I'm Team Jordan on the who's the greatest of all time debate. But when you really look at LeBron James, it is such a testament to what an amazing person he is, a great mother, good influences around him, because you're right. It would have been so easy for someone that the sporting world, not just Sports Illustrated, was dubbing the heir apparent to the title of the greatest player of all time and the next big thing in sports. And he got a $90 million contract from Nike when he was 18. All of this, it would have been so easy for him to have become a bad guy, or to have gotten in a lot of trouble, with women and drugs, and not blaming women. I mean, opposite sex, whatever you're into, you know what I mean? It's weird how we have to watch our words all the fucking time now. I'm going to be done with it though, because I imagine if you listen to this podcast enough, you know, I'm fucking sincere enough. Although it makes me think, I was going to say, it'd be great.
TikTok. Oh fuck! Maybe there's a lag or something on my end? I don't know.
That's all right. I was going to say that it would be funny though, because I said if he was in trouble with drugs or women, it would be funny if there was a superstar gay athlete where you're like, man, this guy can't stay away from the dicks. He is just all over the place. He's just on every dude he comes across, because we're always used to the male athletes just having sex up and down the block with all the women they encounter, getting the Tiger Woods bus full of Swedish women and just going to town. But yeah, dude, it really is. He's amazing. LeBron James as a person is just a phenomenal human being, and the way he's been able to handle himself. Unreal.
Right. You think about how you were. That's why all the time, whenever either younger actors or athletes or whatever get into any kind of trouble when they're 22 or even at 25, I'm like, man, I was a jackass at that age. Of course I'd say something fucked up, or there'd be footage of me drunk at a club. Of course there would be. There would be of you too. It's crazy that people judge these young kids with so much pressure on them did you see the thing from Ohio State, the kid who got people messaging him being like, you suck, you deserve to die, all this stuff. And it's I don't know, that kid's 19 or something.
Yeah, that was horrible. They get upset in the first round of March Madness to Oral Roberts, which is just a funny sounding school. And
dude, I had a girl give me Oral Roberts tonight. It fucking was awesome.
Tight.
The Oral Roberts is when you show a nut video of a girl, but she's in the room while you're videotaping it. So it really
that's fun too. We got to go back to that, by the way. I want to add more to that, but it's a curious topic. Yeah, no, people, there's something about being in the public eye in general where people just kind of don't see you as human. Because that was his response to the Ohio State kid. He was like, I'm a human being. Do I deserve this? You think about it all the time. I was referencing Bill Buckner the other day about, that poor guy had a ground ball go through his legs, and, Steve Bartman, that incident with the Cubs in the 2003 playoffs. And there's just all these things where that people make mistakes, and immediately they no longer see you as a person. They see you as this thing that hurt them personally. We got to remember, it's not personal. They're doing their best out there. They're trying, and look, I understand. The only time I think it's ever okay to boo is if it's a lack of effort. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. That's totally too. Yeah. I remember
you paid good money.
Huh?
Because you paid good money for that ticket.
So you should run out to first base. Yes, exactly. If you don't run to first base, then that's a boo thing.
Sure.
But I remember, when Ken Giles, I think he blew Game 4 of the World Series for the Astros back in 2017, and these fans on Twitter are going after him. I'm like, he's trying. What do you want from him? He's not trying to blow games. Do you think you being an asshole to him is going to make him suddenly fucking find his fastball again? I don't get sports fans, man. I am one. I love sports, but the culture around it is fucking shitty.
I agree, man. I don't understand. Yeah, no, I don't understand these negative sports fans, because that's your team. Talk shit about the other team all you want, but that's your team. And furthermore, today's athletes, they're on social media. So if you're going to be tweeting and posting on all your social media platforms how much so-and-so sucks and you can't stand them and all that, guess what? These athletes talk. And the next time you want that big free agent, and that free agent's like, yeah, I don't want to go to a fan base where when I fuck up one time, they're all up my ass and they're hashtagging I suck and all this kind of stuff. And you might think, well, good, I don't want those guys on my team anyway. But guess what? Those guys, they're everyone now. That's the future. Because when social media, especially Twitter, where you could tweet at the athletes, because that's what I think set Twitter apart initially. Famous people weren't engaging with people on Facebook. No. Twitter became a thing where it was I'll just tweet out at someone and then this, and it becomes a headline. That it made it so that these athletes were like, oh, cool, I can have my little press conferences on here and stuff. And then obviously we saw how sociopaths took it to a whole nother direction, a whole nother level. But I'm telling you, this new generation of athletes, they only know a world of social media. That's not, it wasn't like the whole bridge, like LeBron is probably one of the last athletes that remembers life before it and then going through it.
Yeah.
He's our age, 36. So, I mean, he's our age, he's 27. So,
right.
Like, you know.
I remember when Twitter first was coming out, and I didn't understand why it was so popular. And I guess that's probably why, is because people, I remember the first time I ever heard of Twitter, no joke, was at halftime. Charlie Villanueva, I think, got in trouble for tweeting at halftime of a game, like, we got to step it up. And everyone's like, what the fuck? Who's tweeting? And now, of course, that wouldn't even be that bizarre, I guess. But like, the thing I hate about Twitter is what you're saying is that it puts people, they think they're on an equal playing field with all these celebrities. It's like, before Twitter, you had to earn your voice to be heard in public, you know? You had to get of a following to then have people want to hear what you have to say. But now it's like, if Twitter were around in the 60s, it'd be Martin Luther King Jr., and then any human can just go after it. Like, it's crazy to think about that, just like people who don't deserve to be on the same platform as this person can now yell at them, tell them they suck, they're pieces of shit. Like, the whole, oh God, who was it? Remember that? What was the thing? Craig Ferguson, when he said he refused to go after Britney Spears, everyone else was tearing her down too, and all that shit. Way back.
And I didn't know that at the time, but there was a clip that went viral because of the whole Free Britney movement, and there's been Britney Spears documentary talking about how terrible the media was towards Britney Spears, and it really was, you know.
Yeah.
And so Craig Ferguson, first name's Craig, right? Scottish late night host, who was the late night host where James Corden took his spot for a good 10 years, I want to say. He famously had a clip of back in the day where he's like, yeah, I'm not going to do jokes about her. I feel like this is a young woman who's probably struggling through some stuff. We forget she's 25. And yeah, I mean, it all goes back to what you said earlier. Like, we have to remember these are human beings. When we were in our early 20s, we did dumb shit all the time. And some people will say, well, they're a role model, so we hold them to a higher standard. Sure, you should hold them to higher standards. They get paid millions of dollars, supported by fans and all this kind of stuff. I understand that. You know, that's why we don't take lightly domestic violence. We don't take lightly anything, you know, sexual assault of any kind, of course. But we shouldn't take that shit lightly regardless of your profession, right? Yeah. But I also think that, you know, there's a human element there. And I think there should be empathy. Like, you and I are expressing empathy to be like, man, when I was that age, I did dumb things. But in today's culture, I really think empathy is going away, and it's going away for people who think they have it. That's what I think is the most alarming to me. People I know who would be like, oh, I have tons of empathy. I go, I could show you your last weeks of tweets that prove the opposite. Because if you had any empathy at all, you would wait a second before being the latest person to jump down someone's throat for a mistake. Yeah. And don't get me wrong. There's a lot of stuff out there where it's like, oh yeah, that person deserves whatever they're getting. I mean, you see what's going on with Deshaun Watson right now? Yeah. A first woman came out and said, like, I don't know, shoved his dick into her back she was getting a personal massage and he did something totally inappropriate. And I remember seeing that being like, oh shit, okay. I didn't tweet about it. I didn't say anything about it because, again, you don't know if it's accurate yet. I'm not saying don't believe the source. I'm not saying don't believe women and shit, but again, let's calm down. Now it's 13 accusations. Right. That's enough for me to be like, all right, where there's smoke, there's fire. It's probably something scummy going on there that should be investigated and all that stuff. But I don't want to be the first. So many times I hear people be like, oh, well, I'm so glad the Bears didn't get him now. And I'm like, from that one accusation, you don't know. I mean, there's been Johnny Depp got accused of a bunch of shit. Turns out he was innocent of. It happens. But even in general, I just think there needs to be a little bit like, is this a bad person or did they have a bad moment? Now, obviously, sexual assault's a different story, but there's plenty of other stuff where someone slips up and says something they didn't mean to say, whether, you know, the world's moving fast and there's new language going all the time. Think about it. Like,
there's, in a weird way, to tie this back to the sports thing of people being so shitty about sports, because Houstonians are so fucking insane, or Texans, I should say, in general, are crazy about football, you know? And there was a slight part of me that it's like, well, Watson said he wanted out of Houston. I like could see a Texan person being so crazy as like, let's ruin his reputation. Now, obviously, I don't believe that that's actually what's happening. But Texan sports fans, when it comes to football, they don't fuck around. Someone bought a billboard to say, keep Johnny Manziel in Texas to get the Texans to draft him way back when he wasn't even good. Like, anyone who's objectively, it's like, that guy's not going to make it in pro football. But Texans are so fucking bananas that like there's a little part of it. It's like I do wonder if this is some psycho lawyer who is mad Watson wants to leave. But then obviously more accusations came out and or more allegations, and
I thought the same thing when I first heard about it, because there's enough stuff, there's enough things going around in society today, sadly, where we're seeing evidence of this shit. Remember when shortly after it was in Minneapolis, shortly after, oh my God,
George Floyd. Yeah, George Floyd.
Thank you, George Floyd.
Yeah.
My brain said George Foreman, and I'm like, that is not what I want to say. It's not George Foreman. Shortly after the George Floyd, stuff came out, and there was an undercover cop who was knocking out windows at that AutoZone. There's video of it where everyone's like that. They figured out that it was an undercover cop that did that. So I, want to put it past people to believe, and just to state the record, which I've stated before, I'm not in the all cops are bad camp, because I don't like being in the all anything is bad, because I think that's completely ignorant and really against a greater cause. I think there needs to be reforms, of course, but I'm not in that shit. But anyway, I wouldn't put it past, though, to be like, there's been stories in the past. I think there was a story in the 90s where they were going to cut the funding for the fire department in some city, because they're like, well, we haven't had a fire in a long time. Technology's better where shit doesn't just light up if you put too many plugs into something. And we got a budget crunch. So let's take a little bit of money from the fire department, put it towards education or something. And then out of nowhere, a bunch of fires started popping up. And then the city was like, well, we can't cut the fire department. Guess who's starting the fires, Joe?
The firefighters were?
Yes. So you bringing up the whole Houston sports fans going nuts over something doesn't really surprise me at all, So hold on a second. Someone is up. It shouldn't be up right now. I'm in the middle of a good point right now, son. All right. just chill over there and play with your toys. Daddy's got work to do. You got to go pee? Well, then the bathroom's open. You want apple juice then? Oh, could you go pee? I don't want you. Thank you. He tells me he's got to pee and then makes 7 other requests. He's doing the pee dance. I got to go pee. And then also I want my apple juice. And also, could we get this video on? I'm like, all right, man, I'm working.
I'm so glad I don't have kids. I'm sure it's adorable. I'm sure it's fun. But Dude,
it's the best. But sometimes it's like, oh, God, dude, just go take a nap.
Yeah. Well, it's like, it's one of those. I just was talking with friends the other night about how, I think I'm good now, man. I don't think I want another, it's easier said than done. And every time I've ever said this, then immediately I meet someone who I'm like, oh, I really want to be that person. But I'm good without a relationship. You know what I mean? I very much living alone these last 2 months. It's been, everything is my time. I take an audition at 5 a.m. on Saturday, because it was okay, I'm up late. I don't have to worry about making noise for anybody. This is all, you know what I mean? There's something that's very refreshing about that. I may have never not lived with roommates or anything really, but.
Well, yeah, living alone's nice. I had my own place for just a few months, and I remember thoroughly walking in and kicking off the pants thinking, this is nice. Yeah. I'll say this, though. Yes, you have a lot more freedom being a single person living alone. And obviously, you got to do you. I never wanted to be someone who pushes people into stuff. And when I say this, I feel like I'm trying to say where I don't want people who don't have kids to feel bad or anything like that. I will say this, though. It's a different part of me feels like, oh, that's a bummer. They'll never experience the greatest love in the world.
Yeah.
Because listen, man, you divorce wives, you divorce husbands, you break up with partners. But the love you have for a child is insane. And it's the greatest feeling in the world. You could talk to parents who've been parents for a week and they'll tell you, oh, I will give my life right now to save this thing I've known for a week. It's really an insane thing that you only can experience if you have a kid. And I'm not saying people who don't have kids aren't fulfilled and aren't happy. I'm sure they super are. But I could tell you from being someone who didn't have kids to someone who has kids, I've seen both sides of it. It's just an insanely great thing. You could still find a love that is unbelievable and everything like that. See, I don't even like saying what I just said out loud, because there might be someone listening who has made up their mind that they don't want to have kids, and they might think I'm attacking. No, you do you.
For me also, though, what I'd say is that not everyone can feel that way though, right? Because there are people who just walk out on their kids and shit. So it's got to be like a person.
Those are That's true. Those are sociopaths, though, right?
Yeah.
Sociopaths can't feel anything at all. If you're a person who walks out on your family, I think there was something screwed up inside you anyway. I mean, maybe they're thinking, "Oh, they're better off without me," or something like that. But I don't know, man. There's just.
I will say this too, and I don't know if it's because, like, you know, because I had Zoe for like a year and a half, my dog, who passed away about a year and a half ago, actually, and it was kind of weird. And this is like, maybe, I don't know if this is a fucked up thing to say or not, but it was like, oh, I cared about that dog more than I've cared about anything really. And then she died. And it's like, well, why put yourself in that position anyway?
I get that. Hold on, careful. You just rolled off the dog, which is funny because you're talking about a dog, and I was gonna be like, I have a dog as well. And then my son rolled off of her, but she seems chill about it. So she puts up with a laugh from these two.
Your dog's great.
She's a barker, but then she'll chill out. When she meets people, she just wants to know. Like when people walk down the street in front of the house, she's barking out the window at them. But dude, no, I understand that, man. I totally understand that. Like, if I were to ever get divorced from my wife, I would never want to remarry. The remarry thing is strange to me. But then I guess people are like, oh, and a second chance at love. So maybe it's the third time. When people get married a third time, I'm like, this isn't for you.
Really. Those are people who I think, and that's one of those things where you kind of have to know who you are. Like, I know I'd be divorced probably like 5 times if I'd gotten married when I was 22, for sure. Because, I mean, you have to make a lot of sacrifice for another person if you're going to be married. You can't just be bouncing around doing whatever you want. Like, you can't go to bars. You can't be – even doing shows is going to be hard. Is the kid doing all right?
I mean, yeah, no, he's good. I just didn't want him to knock down this big toy over here. Helped himself to a donut. That's great. I love you, too. Can you hear him?
Yeah.
You can have a donut. That's okay. Here, let me hand it to me. I'm going to give it right back to you. I'm going to show the camera the donut you're talking about. I have the donut? I'm not eating it. I'm just going to show the camera. Come on. It's a good, solid little chocolate donut there.
Oh,
there
okay.
Enjoy it. Okay, so it's not like a Dunkin' Donut. Anyhow, like I was saying, though, I think you have to be clear as an entertainer. Luckily, I met my wife before I got into comedy. So when I was getting into it, she was along for the beginning, and she knew what she was getting herself into. The relationships I always understand to fail are. I remember a friend of ours. My dog's barking now. She was talking about, I started seeing this guy, but it didn't go past 2 or 3 weeks because she was like, what are you doing Friday night? And I'm like, oh, I'm performing at the Laugh Factory. And he's like, oh, okay, what about Saturday? And it's like, Saturday I'm at Zany's or I'm at another club or another show. Yeah. And then he's like, okay, what about the next weekend? And she's like, this is every weekend. This is my life. Right. If you want to meet up afterwards or come to the show or grab dinner beforehand, we could do that. But if you're not game for this, then we shouldn't take this any further because it's definitely not going to work out. And then I had another friend say something really funny where it's like, hey, asshole, I'm not asking you to go out Tuesdays at 7 o'clock because I know you have work the next day or Tuesday at 11 p.m. I'm understanding you have a different schedule than me. So don't be a piece of shit about it. But yeah, I mean, that's tough to make work. And I think you have to know yourself and be comfortable with yourself before you start. I came across something where it's like people work on so much to be good at it, but then they get into marriage and they don't like work at a marriage to be good at the marriage. And I think we forget that,
Well, I mean, I just can't get past, like, when I was in Nashville, it's weird. You can't hear me, right?
He can't hear you. No, I got the headphones on.
I forgot that we started this off talking about,
Go get your apple juice and I'll give you one. Okay. I'll poke the hole in it for you. It's a Capri Sun. They're hard to do. Hey, you know what? I just realized I hid them from you. They're on the counter just to the right. You're going to need to get that stepping stool thing because I don't want you climbing on the counter. Hey, you know what, Joe? While I walk over there to do that, why don't you plug your social media contacts so they could follow you?
All right. Follow me on TikTok at Joe Fernandez Comedian. Instagram comedy.
I'm doing a show right now. That's why I want you to stay in your
room. Y'all do that? Okay. Busted nut videos.
All right. Good. Don't spill. Okay.
And also Joe Fernandez84 on Twitter, Joe Fernandez Comedian on Facebook, and JoeFernandezComedy.com.
Were you talking a bunch of shit?
The only thing, well, I wonder if I should just let you listen back when it comes to that part.
Hilarious. I don't know what you just said because I was switching the headphones around because I put them back on wrong. All right, dude. We're talking about some serious stuff.
We're talking about busted nuts to start off this podcast, and now we're talking about the value of having a family or not.
If I could go back to some women enjoying watching men finish, we'll say classily, that doesn't surprise me that much because I remember when the Louis C.K. thing was going down, I had come across a few women who had told me, these are a few just friends, comedian friends, and then I was doing a bunch of shows on the road at the time, and I remember people bringing it up because it made national news, the whole Louis C.K. thing, and maybe they thought, oh, they got almost the same hair color. Maybe he'll want to talk about Louis C.K. So people would come up to me after shows, and some women would, be like in a group of couples, like in some nice city, like I don't know, a Cleveland or a Cincinnati, and they'd be like, "I like watching him finish," or "I like I like." And I was like, "Really?" I was so surprised how many women were saying like, "Yeah, they're into seeing that." And I remember being like, maybe Louis was just so used to women being into it, he thought he had the green light.
Yeah, dude. Also, story. Like I was in some nice city, like Cleveland or Cincinnati, which are like two cities that notoriously people dump on for being boring.
See, look, Joe, that's the difference between me and you. I'm a pro, and I'd like to sell tickets in those towns.
I like those towns. Whenever I've hung out in Cincinnati and Cleveland, I've had a great time.
Yeah, I do too. But what were you saying about Nashville? I just remembered you were mentioning you were in Nashville a week or so ago.
Well, I mean, like I had a fling out there when I was out there for a night, and it was just like I don't know if I could be in a committed relationship because it's like that's kind of that lifestyle is just so fun for me, and I just don't know if I could ever get past it. I just love see your pants.
Here's my fun advice for you. Keep doing that. Don't look for a relationship. Let it happen naturally. Everyone I've ever come across that's like, I'm desperately trying to get into a relationship. I just want a boyfriend or a girlfriend so badly. They repel the opposite sex because there's a desperation coming off. Where if they just chill out, have some faith that when they meet the right person, they're going to know. Just believe that. Believe when the right person comes along, I'm going to know. I feel like I'm sounding very like Dr. Phil right now.
The thing is, I'm like totally chill though. Like I'm not like that's the thing is like that. I had so much fun with that lifestyle. Like I enjoy that. It's just one of those things I realized. Like I kept thinking I needed a relationship because that's what everyone's supposed to do, and it's like, but maybe it's not for everybody though. So now I'm like, happy that I'm just out and banging, bro.
Dude, good on you, man. That's the dream. Go town to town.
Her friends were the most chill people ever. Like we met after a show, and then I was like, "Do you want to come back to where I'm staying?" And she's like, "Sure." And she told her friends. Her friends were like, "Yeah, just have her back by 5:30. She's got an early flight." And I was like, "This is so laid back." Okay,
so it wasn't even a local. She was on vacation too.
Yeah.
Well, you were working. You weren't on vacation, but yeah. Oh, that's pretty. See,
I was on vacation though. I mean, that was like.
That's almost like a Vegas situation where the people are out there knowing I'm here to get some, and then I'm bouncing.
Yeah.
So you got to play that STD roulette.
Yeah, and it landed on double zeros, so nothing came across. I've never, dude. What's funny? I had COVID 2 weeks ago. I was bummed I couldn't be on your St. Patrick's Day podcast, but so I had COVID. Oh, I have I think I still have brain. But I'm trying to say.
You were saying you had COVID, and then you're talking about STDs too.
Is that how reckless? It's so weird now realizing there's a child born as I'm saying right too.
But he can't hear you.
Okay. I'm not surprised I got it because like. I'm more surprised that I haven't gotten an STD. Like that's great. So I'm an as reckless with masks and condoms equally during this time. You know what I mean? But I've never had an STD in my life, and it's kind of crazy. I really should have by now.
I would have guessed you would have had one by now. Just to hold on a second. Hey, buddy, I'm in the middle of talking about something really funny right now. And I was about to make a really funny point. Then in my brain, I'm like, this point is going to be a great clip to share on social media to help promote the podcast. And here you are. Would you stop, Please, I'll play with you in 10 minutes. We're going to be done in 10 minutes.
Do you want to pause? No.
I can't pause, really. I could just stop what I'm doing. And then I have to go back and edit, unfortunately. That's what I'm doing with it. Please, be quiet or else you're going to bed. You're going to go right back to bed. No. Here. Go lay down. You got all these toys, dude. I bought you these toys so I get to ignore you. You understand? No, I'm kidding. I don't mean it like that, everyone listening. Just chill there for another couple minutes. So, no, you know what's funny to me that, you're out there having fun as a single man. And as you should, Joe. Don't let anyone make you feel bad for enjoying yourself. It would be funny because you talked about how you're very protective. You wear the mask. You wear the rubber. I would love I want to meet someone who's like, is there still a dude out there who's like, oh, I'll wear a mask because, I care about others. But I'm not putting on a goddamn condom, just I draw the line there. All right.
Weird way though. It's a similar, the similar reason. It's like, it just feels better without it. Whether it's breathing or fucking, it's like, I just don't want to wear it because it feels better without it. You understand. So that's why people don't want to wear a mask when they go to a grocery store. It's the exact same reason they want to come inside someone,
Yeah, exactly. Same thing. Do you think there's a couple out there, or not a couple, because when you're a couple, it's different, but you think there's a one-night stand out there where the woman is like, keep your mask on, but let's get rid of this thing,
well, if they're religious, sure.
Sure, yeah. Or maybe in her head, she's like, penicillin will get rid of anything you could possibly give me, most likely.
Yeah.
But I don't know how my body's going to react to COVID. She might be thinking, hey, man, my lungs might not be able to handle COVID, but, a little syphilis, I can handle a little syphilis.
Well, there's a cure. It's not necessarily, I still wonder if I'm having weird, because my brain is, obviously I'm hungover too, but and maybe it's just a social isolation too. Not being around people. I hung out with friends last night, but when they first came over last night, I was like, whoa, okay. Let me take a second to be present. Sunday I hung out with, Nolan at Galway, but it still is it's almost like you're getting your social bearings back of how conversation works. I truly was just by myself for a week. And despite how easy it is compared to the Spanish flu time, I was watching Deadwood the whole time. So it's not I'm struggling necessarily. By the way, that show fucking is great. Deadwood rules.
Deadwood's pretty good. Yeah, I like Deadwood. It's really good.
Also, I'm going through withdrawals with no basketball games on. That's hard, dude. When the tournament goes away, that first weekend when it's sports all day, all night, and then when it's not there, it's just something fun to have on in the background. And now you're like, oh, fuck. Well, it's just the news now.
Yeah, no, it's a fun time of year. The weather starts to turn a little bit. It starts to get a little bit oh, here we go, baby. Nice weather's coming. You can drink outside. Basketball games are on. There's some, St. Patrick's Day right there. I know what you mean, though, man. There's some social norms that are happening again as the world's starting to open back up, or our world's starting to open back up, that it's taken me a minute or two to be like, wait, I was at a wake, sadly. It was a great wake. Rest in peace, Andrew Benetti. He was a diehard Cubs fan, a guy I used to play poker with all the time. And Joe and I are talking about getting a poker game together. Maybe we'll video it for Patreon. Yeah. And
also, saying it was a great wake is the most Irish thing you can say. I feel like that is a great wake. It's definitely the Irish.
It was
my
yeah. Sure. I mean, his name was Benetti, so he's not Irish, but he was a big Cubs fan, so he encouraged. And he'd been sick for a while. He had stage 4 cancer, so he was in hospice. He knew it was coming. It's just very sad, of course. So he was sad, but I mean, a great wake in the sense that a good turnout. I don't know what people say, but people wearing masks, of course. And I ran into a couple people I hadn't seen in forever, and they put the one I shook hands with because I feel like if it's someone older than me and they go for the handshake, in my brain I'm like, all right, you got to do this. Just get the hand sanitizer out and just do that, But if you're younger than me and you're going for the handshake, I was like, what year do you think this is, pal? I'm not shaking your hand. We'll do the fist pound and then let's move on. But it was cool because he was a diehard Cubs fan, so everyone wore Cubs stuff.
Oh, that's cool. Okay.
It's cool for a wake, right? Yeah. I like that. It's different.
Dude, the handshake thing is weird when people get offended if you do the fist, the fact that they're not respectful of you wanting to do a fist bump. It's very strange if someone be like, yeah, man, we know fist bump is fine. Why is a handshake any better or worse than that?
I'm bringing up Louis C.K. again on this podcast, but he had a great joke about how we
got to talk about your heroes.
Yeah, you got to talk about your heroes. he talked about how in America we have things so good we make up shit to be pissed off about, and I'm seeing a little bit of that. And now that the world's opening back up, I'm seeing people be like, if you're gonna still wear a mask, you're, after this is all over, you're a fucking bitch and all this shit. And I'm just like, what do you care? What do you care what someone else does? What do you care if someone wants to greet you with a fist pound or a handshake or they just want a head nod? Some of this stuff, when you think about it, it became tradition and we all just blindly accepted it forever. And eventually it won't be tradition anymore because that's the way of the world. There was shit that was tradition for a couple thousand years that we look back on going, that was weird. Our founding fathers wore wigs and powdered their face with makeup. We all now think, not all of us, but some of us out there who probably look up to those dudes don't realize that if your friends were doing that now, you'd be like, dude, what are you wearing, makeup? Oh, what are you, one of those dudes? Like those same dudes are like, George Washington said. You don't know what the fuck George Washington said, by the way. But like things change. So I wouldn't be surprised if a couple hundred years from now, people were going to look back going, get this. People would see strangers and put their hand out and grip another person's hand and go up and down, just spreading all sorts of illness.
That's the funny thing about Deadwood. Deadwood, when they're making a deal, they spit in their hand and then shake hands. And watching that during a pandemic, especially, I'm like, God damn, that is some nasty shit right there.
So yeah, dude, of course I want things to go back to where they were pre-COVID. Joe's laughing because I had to cut right there because my son was just being a boy. He's 4. So yeah, man, I want everything to go back in. I think everyone else does, but there are some things where it's like, hey, let's think about other people a little bit there. I saw a dude on Facebook make a post where he told his boss he had a little fever, and his boss was like, you better go home. He's like, can you believe this shit? And other people were in the comments being like, I would always go to work sick. What are we growing people soft now? And I'm like, what the fuck were you doing going to work sick? You were bragging about infecting your office? Like that's your mindset now?
That's the thing I've never understood, why that's like a source of pride. Well, you're supposed to stay home if you're sick so you don't get other people sick. That's the point of having a sick day, is to be able to stay away from other folks, and also so you can rest instead of being like having a fever, working on whatever you're doing and not doing it well because your brain. I mean, like it's the dumbest thing going into work.
It's the perfect attendance award. It's the perfect attendance award they give to kids, which is like, I understand what they're doing. They're trying to encourage kids to come to school every day. But trust me, there are some kids who got that award one quarter or one semester. Who's like, I want that award every year now. And how many times were they showing up and getting everyone else sick? And then other kids were like getting home and getting their grandma sick or something like that. And it's just, I don't know. I just would like to live in a society where when people are sick, you stay home.
That never worked on me because I would pretend to be sick all the time to not go to school.
These losers never saw Ferris Bueller's Day Off. These losers,
Oh, the kid, yeah. Hey, man, I don't know if I said this to you or someone else, but I think there's 2 types of people in this world. There's Ferris Buellers and there's genies, right? I think the majority of the world is genies who want to they want to go into work when they're sick, but they want to rat on you if you take the day off and go to the ball game. Like, I feel like from everyone, most of the world is pretty lame. Like they all want to they want everyone to be conform to the 9 to 5. Like, I don't know if this sounds like I'm trying to be all pretentious, like, oh, they don't get us. But it's more like, even in the industry, there's nothing wrong with that job. They're making more than some of you folks sitting at desks. Like, why do we shun people who want to have a night kind of schedule or whatever,
Well, I do. There's so many people who are unhappy with their lives. Instead of doing something about their situation, they want to shun other people's situations as a way to make themselves feel less bad about their situation. Like, look, I love not having a 9 to 5 job, but I know people who have 9 to 5s and they love it. And that's good for them. I would never, as long as you're happy, who cares what you do, and don't let other people's view change that for you.
Yeah.
That's a really weird thing that we all kind of do a lot in society. That's just, it's pathetic. You know what I mean? And you were saying something kind of interesting there that I'm now losing grip of what I was going to add to it. Yeah, I saw like an interesting video. I was going to tag on to that about how I think it's about like this hard work mentality type of thing where, like I said, it goes back to like the perfect attendance. Those people grow up thinking like, I need to show up to work no matter what every single day. And you're talking about like the genies of the world versus the Ferrises of the world. I don't care. You know what I mean? Like I would, if I see someone else having fun and getting away with it, I'm not going to ruin their fun unless it personally affects me. That's just not how I do things.
Unless it's like Dahmer, and his way of having fun.
If you're murdering people, yeah, that's different. It's absolutely different. If you're murdering people, yeah, I don't really care.
I'd be like, different folks, different strokes. You want to fuck dead bodies, need them? Go ahead, fella.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so many people.
What if Dahmer got to the point of being like, don't kink shame me, all right? Some of us murder people and eat their dead bodies, okay?
Well, some people need to be shamed too. We need to shame some people, you know. But no, I'm all for, like, you know, people want to work hard at whatever they're into and stuff like that. But it is funny to me, like, the people who have the mindset of like, oh, I'll never take a day off of work even when I'm sick because I got to work my ass off. I'm like, you know what I mean? If you were smart enough and worked smarter, you would have the type of job where you could take a day off of work and it's not like going to break you. Okay. This whole hustle culture we got going on, we got to hustle. I mean, look, I believe in hustling. I'm trying to tell people that ask me stuff, like, I go post every day, build as much content as possible, create your own way. But I also tell people, hey, if it's driving you nuts, take a week off, take a break. I didn't post any videos on YouTube this past week. I wish I would have. I got a little busy. Numbers got down a little bit. But you got to just accept that. You got to accept that that's, you know, everyone needs a day off here or there. And I hope we could go back to, at least when things do get close to normal, where someone's like, oh, I'm sick. Maybe I shouldn't go around a bunch of other people then. Maybe that's an asshole move. And maybe I should stay at home and get some rest. That way when I go back to work, I'm more productive. You know, I think that's what I was going with there. Anyway, Joe, I'm going to.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say I'm going to wrap up this podcast, but what were you going to add?
Oh, just like COVID, by the way, does make it like worse than any. I think I had it twice, but I got it last year too. It felt exactly the same as when I was sick last year. It's no joke though, man. It is. You haven't had it, right?
No, I've not had. Well, I thought I had it at the beginning of it, which maybe I did, but they said it was influenza A. So, yeah, I'm going to have to go back to being a dad in a second. Otherwise, I'm sorry if I'm cutting this podcast abruptly. We're having a great conversation. Also, follow Joe Fernandez on TikTok. He's got some really good stuff that they just keep taking down for whatever stupid ass reasons they got going on. Other than that, man, I appreciate you being on the podcast. I appreciate your patience. This was a lot of fun, and I'll see you out there at a comedy club soon, my man.
Yeah, man. Sounds good. All right. See you, buddy.
Bye.